And with me now, terrorism analyst with the investigative project, Steve Emerson. All right, good evening, Steve. Thanks so much for being with us this evening. At the end of the day, I'm talking with Danny Dannon just a minute ago about the fact that we have one ceasefire after another. And if the ceasefire itself isn't violated by Hamas repeatedly, history has shown us, then then as soon as it ends, they start fighting again. How long does this go on?
Well, unfortunately, with the pressure that this administration has been putting on Israel, Israel basically has its back against the wall. You're 100% right. This ceasefire is not going to last. Number one, no terrorist group in the history of the world has ever honored ceasefires. This is a terrorist group, Hamas, that is no different, Judge, than Boko Haram, than ISIS, than Al-Qaeda, than Hezbollah. It's the same, born from the same group, the Muslim Brotherhood, same agenda. A Muslim friend of mine called me after they heard that I was going to be on your show, called me this morning and said, you should make the point that if Hamas had the same free reign over Israel as ISIS does over Iraq, there would be mass slaughter of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Jews in Israel, because that's their agenda. So the ceasefire that they agreed to, 72 hours worth, is not going to last, I can guarantee you, because their demands are the total lifting of any security blockade by Israel, which would result in not just missiles being launched on Israel, but even worse kinds of attacks. And this administration, unfortunately, has abetted this type of situation, intolerable situation for Israel, intolerable security situation, by basically treating Hamas as a legitimate political entity that, quote, has legitimate grievances. What are the legitimate grievances, Judge?
Their legitimate grievances. Apparently, we don't want Israel here, and until they're gone, we're going to keep fighting to kill them. So right. How do we do that? How do we equate Hamas with Israel in terms of that comparison?
Listen, there shouldn't be any equation. You know, there's a recent article that just came out in the Gatestone Institute, Holy War Comes to Germany, and it was about, on August 7th, an attack by Salafist jihadists supporting ISIS in Germany, attacking Yazidis, who, are, as you know, are a non-Muslim Kurdish sect. They were attacking them with the intent to kill. And the newspaper that covered it had an extraordinary editorial. Let me just read you one line, because I think it's really worth repeating. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and Boko Haram, these four groups are the linchpins of the attempt to bomb an unstoppable modernity back into the Middle Ages. This is madness. This is from a German newspaper. An Israeli official said to me today, you know, you Americans think that you can play Hamas as a legitimate group and it won't bother you, but you know what? It's going to come to your cities, and then you're going to wake up. You know what? It did come to our cities on 9/11, but somehow this administration has forgotten it.
Well, Steve, let me ask you this. I mean, you just read from a newspaper in Germany that they're in Germany and they're having open protests there. All right, so they're in the United States. Are we ready for them? What are we going to do?
You know, my staff just sent me tweets today from ISIS in the United States saying that they will attack the United States. There was a tweet from an ISIS member in front of the White House saying, we will destroy the White House. We got that tweet around noon today. They're here, okay? There's deterrence by the fact that they think there are not enough numbers here. But, you know, their numbers are growing. In Germany, in Europe, in Belgium, you saw what happened last month. It's growing by leaps and bounds. The reality is that the attempt to sort of separate ISIS as an unredeemable terrorist group that the president is now bombing with other groups, radical Islamic groups like Hamas, Islamic Jihad, as sort of groups that you can negotiate with, or the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a parent group, or its patrons, the government of Qatar, is absolutely absurd. And the only way this is going to turn around and American security be preserved if the president now changes course and realizes these are radical Islamic terrorist groups, all of which are equal in their evilness.
Steve Emerson, thanks so much.